Hello everybody, how are you guys doing today? So this tree is a slippery elm tree, and I'm going to help you identify it. First, you can see that this bark looks really rough. There's a slight green tinge to the outside of it. It's kind of grayish. It kind of stands out when you're looking through the forest, and all of a sudden you see this color right here. And there's some other trees growing in amongst this. I think this is an ash, not sure. There's another one. But this tree is one of the trees that morel hunters look for. And I want you to notice that on this side, the bark's laying pretty flat. And all of a sudden, you'll get these ridges. See how far they stick out? They crack off. And you'll see that it's flat again. It has these knife edges that just kind of furrow out. This is an older elm, and see how the tree, it's called buttressing. The tree widens at the base. You can see these roots stick way out the bottom on both sides. But this, you might not necessarily find morels underneath a tree like this, but this tree has some definite microbial action going on. There's a breakdown of this tree. This tree's been dying or dead for quite some time, and as you can see, you can pull this bark away, but the bark is still on it. And from what I can tell, it's getting a couple buds up in the tree. So this tree is the tree you're looking for. This tree probably produces morels. And instead of just bumbling down through the woods, just kind of randomly hoping that you run into a morel mushroom, you will waste a lot of your time. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a lot of time. I have 4 kids, a wife, and I have a lot to do, especially with this pandemic that's going on. Now I'm a school teacher on top of a corrections officer, on top of everything else that I do, and a husband and the spiritual leader of my home. So with all those roles that I have to fill, I need to maximize my time. So when I go through the woods, I see this tree. I see these big knife edges sticking out. I see the color of the bark. I go, I wonder if that's an elm tree. So then I go to the leaf litter. And I don't know if you guys have seen me carrying these leaves around, but I gathered these leaves up. And there's some other ones. Some smaller ones, some bigger ones. But you'll see there's oak leaves that blew in here. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you find the bark. I found the right bark. Then you go to the leaf litter. Because this time of the year, you're not gonna have leaves to go off of most of the time, until maybe later on if the morel season goes further. But let's look at these leaves. You'll see that this leaf, the top's missing, but it has a kind of like a teardrop shape to the leaf. And here is a key feature. You have this jagged sawtooth edge. You can see on the smaller leaf better. You see the sawtooth, that's the underside. Oh, no, wait, that is the upside. You see the sawtooth edge. You see how the leaf has the veins ray out. And they're pretty uniform, but you see they're staggered. One goes this way, the next one goes that way. And so on and so forth. But a key feature is you see the bottom of that leaf? It doesn't come together at the same spot. Those 2 bottom lobes, one's longer than the other. So now I know that I have the tree I'm looking for. Plus, I see all these little trees sprouting up around it. So the next thing I would do is to get up and look at these leaves. Well, that doesn't look like an elm. That doesn't look like an elm. Oh, but wait, there's a different type of tree down here. And it's coming out. I'm seeing the sawtooth pattern. I'm seeing the back of the leaf not coming together at the same point on the stem of the leaf. So I think this could be a little elm. And if I'm still not sure, I can go to a bigger one. Well, that leaf definitely is not coming together in the back of the same spot. It has the clear pattern, it has a sawtooth edge. So I know there's elms here, even if I'm not a tree expert, and I'm not. But I will show you why I look for these trees. You see my bag right here? Look what's right below my bag. That is a black morel. And you can see the outside edge is a lot darker than the pits. And this is a black morel. It might be a little past. I think it is. We're gonna go ahead and look at it anyway. But yep. So, with finding the right tree, I found the fruit that I was looking for that is produced from that dead and dying tree. What I'm gonna do for you is I'm gonna show you again how we can positively identify the morel mushroom. Now the black morel is a little bit different. It has these sinus edges where the stem and the cap come together. It has a little bit of a gap. Let's see if you can see that. There's a little gap right there, and they call that a sinus. But see, it's more of an angular, like a, it's not rounded at the top like a big yellow morel. This one is past, which I'm gonna go ahead and hide it, and here's where it came out. And I've already looked around here. I've found morels here before. This is why I know to come back here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this back down, and I'm gonna cover it with leaves so that the spores from these pitted areas can drop down and produce morels for next season and the season after that. An interesting fact about the morels is that you can set your morels out in the sun and they will actually create more vitamin D that the morel has in it. And that is just awesome. Like, you can take a morel trains. Gotta love trains. But you can take your morels and you can take them home, clean them, get them ready, take them and set them in sunlight. And when you set them in the sunlight, these pitted areas, I like to set those up. And the morel is an excellent source of vitamin D. Now, you can actually bring that level of vitamin D up with sunlight. So when you take your morels and you set them out in the sun, not for too long, you don't want to dry them all completely out, or you're going to let insects get to them and stuff like that. But if you need vitamin D and you want a natural form of vitamin D other than what your body produces in sunlight, you can expose these to sunlight and raise the vitamin D in the morel. And that is awesome, because that helps you fight off disease, and I mean, it just keeps you healthy. And that is why we do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide these. This is the slippery elm, and it is definitely past its prime. And you can see these knife-edged pieces of bark, and you can see that it's clearly got the black webbing of a microbial infection that's going up inside this. So I know that there's different types of fungus living off of this, and I've showed you the black morel that this tree has living on it, and that's how you maximize your time and your efforts. So let's see what else we can find today. Okay guys, well, we rode out a little further and we found another slippery elm tree. There's those knife edges I was telling you about. There's the bark. It's actually not that deep. It's only about fingertip deep. It's got a gray-brown pattern, and I'm going to show you firsthand while I look for this tree. See anything? I want you to come around the tree with me. And then it keeps going down over. So, Charles Grove with Foraging Truth. I'm going to start cutting. You guys have a good day.